The film's story starts at an airport, where we see a girl. She was going on her flight, and the plane was on the runway. People were coming, and everything was normal, but how dangerous this flight is going to be, we will get to know in a while. Now that girl was coming onto the plane and setting her luggage, but she was not able to keep it. That's why the other passenger sitting next to her helped her, and with this excuse, the conversation starts between the two. The plane had also taken off, and they both talked. The girl introduces herself as a model. The man who was sitting next to her introduced himself as a musician. That's when the girl remembers something. She says, "A while ago, I had a friend who was also a musician. His name was Gabriel." Now, as soon as he hears the name Gabriel, he says, "As a musician, I remember this name very well. I had launched music for a man of this name many years ago, which was very bad, flopped badly, and I had insulted him a lot." The girl says to him, "Are we talking about the same Gabriel? Because at that time he was my friend." Here the man asks, "Is his full name Gabriel Pasternak?" The girl says yes. Hearing this, another bad woman gets up from her seat, who was a teacher, and says, "Gabriel has been my student. He kept failing in everything. That's why I remember him, because in my 30 years of experience, I have not seen a worse student than him." Here another boy says, "Yes, I also know Gabriel. At that time, he used to study with me. He was very famous for his stupidity. That's why we used to make a lot of fun of him." The teacher says, "Isn't it strange that in the same place, a lot of people are talking about the same man?" Then another man gets up from behind, and says, "I also know Gabriel. He used to work for me. He was a very psycho person. That's why I fired him." The musician was also suspicious. He gets up, looks back, and asks all the passengers on the plane, "Who knows Gabriel?" The surprising thing was everyone raised their hands because, somewhere, sometime, he met Gabriel and knew him. Now the musician man asks, "Did everyone sitting here buy this flight ticket themselves?" Here another surprising thing comes up. No one bought this flight ticket themselves. Someone got a gift, so someone's company gave it here. The teacher says, "I also thought of cancelling this flight, but I was strictly told to come that day." She says that the air hostess hears everything and comes and tells them that the Gabriel Pasternaki you are talking about is the cabin chief of this flight today, and I also have a relationship with him from my old life. He and I used to train together, and one day he proposed to me. He wanted to marry me, but I refused him. Later, he became my senior. Today he is on this plane. I also didn't want to come, but even though I didn't want to, I had to come on this plane today because he is my head. But the worrying thing is that he had gone to the pilot's section a while ago but hadn't come back yet, and no one opened the door. Apart from this, both the pilots are not answering. The musician gets worried. He says, "This means all the people present here, all of them, sometime, somewhere, has done wrong with Gabriel." But he asks that model girl, "You were his friend, right? What wrong did you do?" She says, "Gabriel used to like me, but I, his friend, cheated on him." Now the friend with whom he cheated on Gabriel is also present on this plane. Then the plane starts shaking. Everyone was very scared. An old man gets up from here, and goes to the pilot's section and calls Gabriel, saying, "Please open the door." He tells his relationship with Gabriel that I am a brain doctor. When Gabriel got worried about everything, he used to come to me for treatment, but later, I increased my fees, and Gabriel stopped coming to me. But I found out while treating him that his mental condition was bad because of his parents, because they never treated him well. Now he calls him from here, says, "You can't take revenge on us because your parents are responsible for your life." But the plane was going down, and Gabriel made a big plan to take revenge on the people responsible for ruining his life, but his parents were not on that plane. Everyone was screaming in fear. The plane was going down to the city. Then we see an old couple. They were sitting in their garden, and they see a plane coming from above that is coming towards them. And we find out that the old couple was Gabriel's parents. He opens the plane from above and destroys them. Gabriel's revenge was so dangerous. After this, we are shown another story. We see a businessman whose name is Diego. He was going somewhere regarding his business, which was a very desolate road. His car, music, everything was going well. Then suddenly another car comes in front of him, which was going very slowly. Diego honks his car again and again. He says to give way, but he didn't even take the name of moving ahead. Diego now goes to the side. He sees a man sitting in that car who was very strange. Now he calls him bad and goes ahead of his car. He also shows him his middle finger and goes ahead. Diego's car was going very fast. Diego then started driving at his usual speed, but suddenly his car's tire gets punctured. He stands near a pole. No one could be seen from here. On top of that, Diego also fought with a man from behind. He had another tire, but he didn't know how to install it. That's why he calls a mechanic and tells him to come after an hour. Now Diego himself was trying to install the tire. Before he could install the tire and fix all his screws, that same old car comes there, which was bothering him from behind. Diego got scared. That's why he quickly went and sat in his car. The man sitting in the other car comes in front of him and stops his car, coming near Diego. He was scared of that man. He says, "Forgive me, I shouldn't have said anything bad to you." But that man was very angry. He starts breaking the glass of his car with a wrench. Diego was very scared. He called the police, but the network was not coming. He was not satisfied by breaking the glass of that man. He was doing even more wrong things. Diego feels very bad seeing all this. When that man sits in his car, he starts it from the back with a hand-pulled tire and pushes it, because of which his old car falls into the pool, and he was also injured. Then Diego starts going from there, but his anger was still not cooled. He turns his car back to that man and tries to kill him before he could do anything. Diego's tire was open. His car also falls into the pool. That man comes in his car, beats him a lot, and ties his neck with the seat belt. That man's anger was not calmed yet. He sets the gasoline tank on fire so that Diego dies there. As he was going, Diego came from behind and grabbed his leg. Because of this, both of them got stuck in the car, and Diego's mechanic had also gone out there, but then there was a huge explosion, in which Diego and that man died. When that mechanic called the police, they came there and put out the fire. So let's see in the car, both of their skeletons were left as soon as they were sitting. The police officer saw them and said, maybe they were trying to save each other, but they did not know that they had killed each other in the fire of revenge. So this lesson is for all of us: if we ignore small mistakes in our lives, then we can avoid big problems. If Diego had ignored that crazy man, then all this wouldn't have happened to him today. After this, we see the third story. The story of an engineer named Simon who used to bomb and blow up big, useless buildings. Today was a calm day. Simon gets a call from his wife, who tells him that today you have to bring a cake home because it is our daughter's birthday. Now Simon stops his car near a bakery and goes to get the cake, but in the meantime, the company gave him his car. Because he believed that he had parked his car in the wrong place, where there was no permission to park, he now takes a taxi to the tax authority's office, where he goes and says that he had no fault. Why was my car picked up without a fault? So I will not give you any fines. All the rest of the people there were also saying the same thing to him, but the man who is paying the fine said, "Sir, you will have to pay the fine, otherwise, you will have to pay more money." Simon had no other option, so he pays the fine and gets his car picked up, but due to traffic, Simon could not reach home quickly. At home, his daughter celebrates her birthday with a small pastry. When he comes home, his wife is very upset with him because Simon has always believed that our government does not work honestly, and he is stuck in these circles. The next day, he goes to the government office so that he can complain about the wrong fine. But here, the government official tells him, "What is your fine? You have to pay for it at any cost." After hearing this, Simon became angry and attacked him. All the people standing there were encouraging him, but in the meantime, the police came and let him arrested. But after a little while, Simon's friend went to the police station and got him released. But now this news is also published in the newspaper. Because of this, he is also fired from his job. His wife also files for divorce. He does not even get custody of his daughter because he did not even have a job. He was not given any other job. One day, the company again picks up his car, although it was not his fault this time. This time he quietly gets his car released without saying anything, but because of all this, he was very angry. Because of them, his job, family, and future were ruined. He wakes up one night and makes some changes in his car, and the next morning he goes and puts his car in a place where there is a sign of no parking. He wanted the company to take his car, and it happened. But as soon as he picked up his car and put it in his garage, there was a huge blast. The company's office, the cars around it, everything was destroyed. This news became big news. As a common man raised his voice against the government, Simon had become a messiah among the common people. Now, this incident occurred a few months ago, but Simon is now in jail. It was his birthday today. His wife and daughter brought him a gift. That meant his daughter and wife had also decided to live with him. Everyone respected Simon in jail. And with this third story also ends here. From Simon's story, we can learn that we should not bow down to anyone for no reason. In which you have no fault, raise your voice for your rights. So which story did you like among these three? Do tell us.